Oh, hi there. Didn't see ya. A lot of questions on this channel come from my game nights in my game room down here and how I set them up. People are always curious, what do you do to prepare for a game night? How do game nights go? Well, I want to take some time here as I'm setting up for another game night coming up pretty soon here to show you what my thought process is and maybe give some advice that can help you have a successful or enjoyable game night with family and friends. Perhaps the best piece of advice I can give you for a game night is to do your best to test things out and make sure they work before anyone shows up. What I intend to do is about an hour before anyone gets here, everything is going to be on. I'm going to leave all the systems, all the games I'm going to use on. Is that going to burn power? Yeah. Will that hopefully prevent me from having some kind of meltdown or breakdown or issue when I go to turn it on and it doesn't work when everyone's here ready to play? Absolutely. So it's better for me to waste that hour of power down here than it is to turn stuff on and it just doesn't work. It's super important. One of my videos on this channel talks about when setting up goes wrong, and that's why it's so important to set up way ahead of time. I'm pretty sure all my Dreamcast stuff is in good working order now, and I'm pretty sure all the keyboards will work, but I don't know for sure. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure the Dreamcast turns on, I can load into type into the dead, and both keyboards work. And I have a memory card ready to go. I'll make sure every Wiimote over there has batteries in it that are fresh. Nothing's worse than trying to get a game going, or in the middle of a game, the batteries on a remote die, everything's derailed, everyone's sitting around awkwardly, trying to make things, just wait for the batteries, wait to swap them out. And at that point, everyone's having trouble moving things, it's warm, it's a mess. When you sit back and you test everything out first and make sure everything boots, all the controllers are charged, then you're good to go. All these wireless newer controllers from 8-Bit Do and Retro Fighters have all been charged way ahead of time. I charge them each night over the past couple days to make sure they're ready. So hopefully nothing goes wrong, but then again, stuff will go wrong. And that's just the last lesson really is, despite your best efforts, things will go wrong. And that's okay. It's okay, it happens. And it's no big deal. At this point, I have enough stuff up here where, it's not going to really delay someone's evening or make them feel like, oh, we're not having fun. But things will go wrong no matter what I do. Sure, it might work now, and I'm going to test it to make sure it works now. Will it work when I boot it up later? I don't know. I hope it will, and if I prepared well and I've done my homework and I've made sure everything's good repair, then of course it will. But in general, things will go wrong, and that's okay. There's a lot of stuff I can switch out pretty quickly here. I have a lot of backup controllers, and that's something you don't see either. All these over here, these bins, are pretty much wired backup controllers for all the systems here in case something goes wrong or in case people want to play more players. I try to think of it all, but even I can't think of everything, and that's okay. Things will go wrong for me tonight. Things will go wrong for you. As long as people are having fun and having a good time, no one will notice and it'll be okay. Don't let one bad experience ruin your idea for a game night or a game evening with family and friends. I know I've had bad nights before because things didn't work out right, but no one seemed to mind because they were more happy to be with family, friends, and having a good time. Now, the usual first thing that happens every game night is the following. Dinner first, then on to whatever it may be. And that's my first piece of advice. Eat first, have a place for the food somewhere else that's not in the part of the game room you're going to use, and then once you're done eating, clear that out and set up what games you have in planned. If I had to give one big piece of advice as we begin this video, I would say let the evening take it where you want to take it. Sure, do I curate some stuff down here? Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to pull out the Dreamcast, probably the Wii U, and probably the Switch to start on this TV over here. And over here, I'll probably find some games either on the SNES or the GameCube that are at least two-player, if not more. Same thing over here on the older TVs, the Genesis for sure, and maybe a PS2 light gun game over here. After an hour or so, is that the same game that will be on this TV? Is that the same system that will be on the TV? Probably not, and that's okay. Let the evening go where everyone wants it to go. Don't be too uptight about playing a game or planning to play a game. What I usually do is I try to pull out one interesting game to feature on the big TV over here, or maybe even over here, and once people have all rotated out or tried out that interesting game with a controller that's weird, like a fishing pole or maracas or a drum, then we can go on and do whatever we want, and that's usually what happens. But if no one's really feeling that game, time to move on, and that's okay. When I first started doing nights like this a long time ago, I used to think that I had to have a perfectly curated evening with games that everyone wanted to play. Well, it turns out when people come over, and especially when they see the old stuff, they want to play what they want to play. They see a Mario game they recognize, that's going in. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, that's going in. And that's no problem. All I do is try to curate and moderate down here to make sure that people are playing what they want to play, how they want to play, when they want to play it. That's the only goal, really. And the other thing is, try not to force people too much to play the game. Some people are apprehensive. They don't want to try the music games, especially the maracas or the drums or even Dance Dance Revolution. Try to get them on there. If they don't want to, don't force it. People have a much better time when they can enjoy others playing games and watching and kind of like cheering them on that way instead of anything else. Now, before we go any further and I start setting things up, because that's going to take a long time here, let's talk about recommendations I would make for a game night if you're starting off, or things that have always been guaranteed fun for everyone. On the big TV over here, we have a whole bunch of the newer systems. I have found that the VR headset is always very popular. No one has ever complained about playing Beat Saber, neither have I. It's a great game. Same with Synth Riders. So VR is a fun one to do that everyone can watch and have fun with and trade off pretty easily. If you have enough controllers, there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game out there. I think it's Shredder's Revenge. That's also a lot of fun for 6 people. Plays on the big TV really well. We all have a good time with that. Over here, we'll talk about some gems. Everyone loves Mario Kart and Mario Party. We've got the new one, Jamboree, and we have had a blast with it, and so has everyone else. Now, it's a 4-player game that takes a while, so don't play the board game mode. Play the mini game mode. Much easier to rotate controllers that way, trust me. If you have access to it and you have the Wii U, I cannot recommend enough Nintendo Land. This is an absolute gem. Almost every single game night for the past, I'd say, 7 or 8 years, this has come out at least once a night, and everyone loves it. The kids love it. There is no one in the room who hates Nintendo Land. There's great 5-player games that are just fun for the whole family and fun for kids too. So definitely would go with that on your multiplayer systems for the evening. So those are the games we'll kind of shift over to once we get over the first game. And the first game I'm going to do is actually Type Into the Dead on the Dreamcast. Now, having some bad luck with these controllers lately. So I'm going to take this Dreamcast here, and it won't really stretch. So what I'm going to do is move the Dreamcast down to in front of the TV here, put the keyboards leaned up against the entertainment center, because eventually we'll use these two desk things we have here, which are perfect for the keyboard, and you can sit down in a folding chair and type really easily. So we'll start with that. I think people have a good time with that. I have a good time with it. But again, let me keep reminding you as we go about this video, that doesn't mean we'll play that the entire night. It'll probably go for maybe an hour or so, then we'll switch to something else that everyone can play and enjoy. That's how game nights have to go. They have to flow well, and the way you make them flow well is by realizing the mood of the room that we're not really feeling this, let's move on. Since I'm apparently very rich and wealthy here on the internet, and I got these TVs down here, my CRT, my free CRT, and my $30 Goodwill TV, we've opened up a lot more possibilities for gaming down here. So a lot of people can sit over there and play games, a lot of people can come over here and play games. Now I'll set things up initially to what I think people might like. So most likely on this big TV here, I will have the Dreamcast set up or the PlayStation 1 set up with one of those light gun games. Or I'll have the PlayStation 2 set up, which I think I'll do, with Time Crisis 2 and 3 linked up. So one player here, 2 PS2s, all that good stuff. There's videos on the channel talking about that in detail, but that's the fun stuff. Now, once people are done playing Time Crisis, they've rotated in the gun games, light gun games, then we'll go back on and we'll change it out to something different. And I have stuff in reserve. What do I have in reserve? A lot of SNES games are popular. A lot of Genesis games are popular. So we have a bunch of Sonic games. We even have Sonic Knuckles, things like that. So we'll swap those out as the evening goes on. So that's my setup and idea of games for tonight. Start off with some stuff down here set up so people can enjoy it at first, and then whatever they want to do, the world is theirs. I have a ton of games for all the systems, and if you've watched the channel, you know I do as well, so hopefully they can find something they like or something they recognize and something they really, really enjoy. And that's really the point, is to enjoy yourself. Come down here, I'm going to get pizzas, we're going to have dinner down here, I'm going to have a lot of food and drinks and everything, and just have fun. But to get to that fun part, we have to clean up and organize. That's always the least fun of anything. I've already vacuumed this area and gotten it prepped down, but now I have to go over and vacuum this area, which you will not see on camera because that's boring. Clean up all the bathroom area and all the other stuff over in that side of the basement over there, and then get everything ready to have food out with plates and napkins and all that good stuff. And once that's all done, then the games come out, then the tables come out, and then we should be ready. Now, it doesn't take all that long, but my motivation is always at an all-time low when I start off on this task. But by the end or halfway through, I usually get motivated again, and we're good to go. So, what I'm going to do now is do one of those magical cut things where I snap my fingers, and the time you see me again in this video, everything will be laid out, ready to go, the lights will be on, it'll look like a real game night down here. I'm going to grab the vacuum, turn some music on, and then finally snap my fingers. When you come back, this will all be set up for game night. So here we go. And just like that, we're all ready for game night down here. Lots going on down here, but it really didn't take us all that long. My wife vacuumed, I started cleaning things up, putting chairs out, putting tables up, and really getting the games ready. Type Into the Dead 2 is working just fine over here. The keyboards and everything are all set up, ready to go for this evening. I'll turn this one off soon, but I'll turn it on about an hour before everyone gets here. All the games are loaded up over here in the systems we want, and these controllers have batteries in them, and they work, and they're all connected. We've spaced out tables and fans down here. We will be closing the heating vent because, although it's cold outside, we put 12 to 15 to 20 people down here, it gets really warm really quickly, especially with all the electronics. Over here, I decided to go with Lego Star Wars on the PS3 for something fun and easy to pick up. We decided to go with Vampire Knight for the PS2. We can play 2 gun cons linked together on one TV, and if not, we can always set up Time Crisis on both TVs, which is fine. Over here, we got the Genesis going with my wife's favorite game, Frogger. I think that's really it for the games right now. And again, those games can change. Those games will change, and that's okay. People will see something they like, and they'll want to play it, and I'm great with that. I have a whole bunch of cool stuff in those bins, all kinds of games, all from the years, and I think people will find something that they'll enjoy no matter what. And you know what? If they just want to sit around and chat with each other and enjoy each other's company, that's great too. Game night isn't necessarily just all about games. It really is about that friendship, that family, that camaraderie that a lot of people are missing nowadays. You can see in the middle, we have all our tables set up over here, ready to go for our game night. We have our freshly stocked fridge with pop and water, and that's the only things I get, by the way. One type of Diet Pop and one type of water. That's my advice to you too. Everyone drinks water, everyone will drink Diet Pop. I used to buy different ones for different people. Kind of stopped that because I get stuck with it, I didn't like it, so that's what I do. We provide some stuff over here if people of the age want that. We also restock some munchies, we restock some the peanuts over here. We're all good there. And the part you won't see, which is later on, much later on, there'll be pizzas all over these tables here with some salad because we have to stay healthy. And that's it. That's how game night works around here. People will come and go as they please. They'll arrive whenever they feel like it, and they'll leave whenever they feel like it. Hopefully they'll have a good time and a memorable time. That's my advice for game nights. Just remember, stuff will go wrong. You can't prevent every disaster, and these things don't have to be a disaster. Just little hiccups in the evening. Find games that can support a lot of people at once, at least up to 4, maybe even more. Shredder's Revenge is great, the Mario Party stuff is great, so is all the Nintendo Land stuff. Even the Jackbox games, as long as there aren't kids around. We can't play them as much anymore because there are a lot of kids here now. But before that, the Jackbox party games, always great for everyone. One last piece of advice I forgot to give is, before we start anything, while we're eating dinner, I usually have music going on the large TV with our sound system down here, just because it fills that background noise in until people start loosening up and want to talk to each other. It kind of reduces that like dead air feeling. Once we're done eating, my other piece of advice, get rid of as much furniture as possible. Leave the folding chairs out, we might leave one folding table out, and really, just enjoy yourself. I hope this inspires you to do a family and friends game night. Hopefully it does, and hopefully you enjoy it just as much as we do around here. But we'll clear a lot of space here because that's when the real fun begins.